Stoney is here, and he was also there when the big question was asked to Mike Illitch this week. I don't think anyone expected him on whatever date it was, August 5th or 6th, to say that his two main guys are safe for next season. What'd you think?
Well, I kind of understood why Dombrowski, you're not going to change the general manager because you have a whole system with scouting and all that kind of stuff. I was kind of surprised that he said Leyland is coming back definitely for next year. I mean, getting rid of him now makes no sense. But for next year, why not say, let's see how this plays out? No, I don't think the Tigers obviously are going to come back and win this thing. But if they completely continue their free fall, where they can't even win series at home, then you have to wonder about this guy who Leyland is great in the room, so to speak. He's great before the games, after the game. You know how I feel about him during the game. I'm not a big fan of his. But you have to see who's out there. But the deal is, I mean, why bring a guy back if this team finishes, let's say, 4th place? If they finish behind Cleveland or Kansas City, I don't think he should come back.
Well, it's interesting that you go that route, because I think a lot of people would go the other route and say it's not Jim Leyland's fault that all these players got hurt and he was left with players who really shouldn't be at the major league level. That falls on Dave Dombrowski's shoulder. He should have had more depth.
He should have. You're correct. But I think to completely overhaul the system that's there right now, and I think you got to wait a year or two for that. Dombrowski, has he done a good job? He's been average, okay? Dave Dombrowski's done an average job. I don't think it's his fault that Jim Leyland's team has had second-half collapses for 5 straight years, basically.
What bothers me when I hear people talk about the Tigers is, oh, well, let's not forget where we were. You don't become a perennial playoff contender by remembering where you were in 2003. You need to step forward, and I think it's going to be interesting this offseason to see how Dombrowski spends the money he's going to have.
That's a good reason, Tom, why you keep Dombrowski for 1 more year at least, because you want to see who he's going to be able to bring in. And look, is Leyland a bad manager? No, I don't think he's a bad manager. I just think after, 06, 07, 08, 09, and we have here, I just think it'll be time. Now, if they can just at least be competitive the rest of the way, then you can make a case. But if they completely flop, then I think you have to do something. But he's the owner. He wants him back, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Let's take a jump into Speculation City. A couple of stories that are really grabbing the headlines. Tracy McGrady, a possible Piston. That shook me up a little bit. How would that work?
Well, here's my question when people bring these kind of things up. What's the downside? The Pistons are pathetic. They are. I mean, I don't see how they're going to get more than 6,000, 7,000 people to games that aren't with Miami, Boston, or the Lakers, to be quite honest with you. McGrady, everywhere he's gone, he can score points. If he's healthy, the Pistons have taken chances with injured guys before, like Antonio McDyess. It's worked. It might be able to make trading guys like Rip Tayshaun or even, dare I say, Rodney Stuckey or Ben Gordon easier. I say, you give them the minimum. What is the downside?
You make a good point. Let's stick in conjecture central here. Talk about a possible Michigan-Alabama football game in 2012 in Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Well, Michigan-Alabama is great. I mean, I see, Notre Dame is going to be playing Texas, a 4-game series. I think it's great that they're playing Alabama, but a few things. Number one, why in Dallas? I know Jerry Jones' money. That's the main reason. But if you're going to play Alabama, home and home, I think Michigan fans deserve to see the Crimson Tide come in the big house, and vice versa. You don't have to go to Dallas for that. But the bigger question is, who's going to match? How is Brady Hoke or Jim Harbaugh going to match wits with Nick Saban?
So you think that he's going to be gone by 2012?
I would think so. I would hope not. I hope Michigan wins 10 games this year, 9 games, whatever it's going to take to keep his job. That's what I hope, and they build a great program. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Well, the camps start tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see how this all evolves. They got the big meeting in Seattle on Saturday. How might this West Virginia stuff affect that meeting, you think?
I don't think it's going to affect it. I mean, in fact, his discipline might be a little worse because obviously he broke rules before, but I don't think that's going to affect University of Michigan at all.
Your Stonehead of the week.
Yeah, it could have been Eastern Michigan coach Ron English for suggesting that he only wants to recruit players with 2-parent homes, which is absurd. But I'm going to give it to James Dolan, the head of the Madison Square Garden Corporation, the Rangers, and the New York Knicks. Why? Well, because he decided, I'm bringing back Isaiah Thomas to be a consultant. Isaiah did such a great job as a general manager with the Knicks. I mean, he didn't get any trouble with any sexual allegations, did he?
Yes.
Jim Dolan, Stonehead. Isaiah must have pictures with Dolan and, animals or something. I don't know.
That's Mike Stone. You can hear him every morning.
Yeah, that's not Tom Lydon.
6 to 10. 97.1 The Ticket. No pictures in my closet. Stick with us. Coming up, I'm going to introduce you to a guy who set an American record, a world record in sport bowling. I've always got the interesting stories after your segment.
Sport bowling.
Sport bowling. Not archery, sport bowling. Stay with us.
Piston.